Episode 443 of 360 Wrestling Fanatic will be talking about tonight's WWE Monday Night RAW, and we'll discuss a little bit of pro wrestling news right here, right now. 360 Wrestling Fanatic. Hello, Wrestling Fanatics. This is 360 Wrestling Fanatic, and welcome to tonight's episode of the podcast. I am Lance Brock, as usual, and tonight going to be recapping tonight's WWE Monday Night RAW, and then after that, I'm going to talk a little pro wrestling news. But first, let's get into Raw. Tonight, WWE Monday Night RAW was live from Buffalo, New York at the Key Bank Arena. Our commentators tonight, Kevin Patrick and Corey Graves. And we start things off with the Judgment Day as the issues between Finn Balor and Damian Priest continue. They are not on the same page. And then we see the world's heavyweight champion, Seth freaking Rollins, come out with some buffalo wings. And tonight, we will have a 6-man tag in the main event. The Judgment Day taking on Seth freaking Rollins and the undisputed tag team champions Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn, which actually, skipping ahead a little bit, but it was actually supposed to be a singles match, Seth Rollins and Dominic Mysterio. Dirty Dom taking on the world heavyweight champion, but then the rest of Judgment Day got involved, and then Owens and Zayn came out and made the save for Rollins, and then that 6-man tag team main event was made. And then we have Drew McIntyre and Matt Riddle taking on Imperium, and they get the win here. Vinci taking the pin. And then after the match, Gunther and Geyser are upset with Vinci, and they leave him in the aisle, walk away from him. So they're kind of teasing some tension in Imperium. And then later on tonight, we also find out that Riddle got a one-on-one match with Gunther, and Geyser and Vinci are banned from ringside. And next, we get a recap of Tribal Court, the trial of the Tribal Chief Roman Reigns, which did very well for SmackDown, helped it out a lot in a sold-out Madison Square Garden, and got a huge number on Fox last Friday night as well. So this bloodline angle has definitely worked, and even after now that Sami Zayn is no longer involved, still drawing ratings. And Becky Lynch is in action next. But first, I skipped over my notes here. Ricochet and Logan Paul have a segment in the ring. Ricochet calls him out once again, just like he did last week when he asked him to meet him here tonight. And Ricochet challenges Logan Paul to a match at SummerSlam. But Logan Paul turns him down. And then Ricochet does a big jump outside the ring. And Logan Paul acts like he's going to leave. But then he tries to get a cheap shot. But Ricochet ducks it. And then hits him with the sliced bread on the floor. And now, next up, we have Becky Lynch in action, taking on Zoe Starks. Which, just before I get to this match, though, earlier in the day it was reported that I saw on the Ringside News app that Becky Lynch was injured and pulled from Raw. And then, just a little bit after that, actually, not too long before Raw was on the air, there was another report that came out that said Becky Lynch had been cleared for in-ring action tonight, and she took on Zoe Stark with WWE Hall of Famer Trish Stratus in her corner. Pretty good match here between Lynch and Stark, and Trish Stratus gets involved, and Zoe Stark is able to get the win, defeating the Man. And our next segment is Maxine Dupree, her graduation with the Alpha Academy. Starts off with Chad Gable and Otis. Chad Gable gives a speech and then gives Maxine her Alpha Academy jacket. Says it is the last jacket she will ever wear. And then at this time, it is interrupted by the Viking Raiders. Ivar and Eric make their way out of the entrance, and Gable, Otis, and Maxine are distracted by them, and Valhalla makes her way through the crowd and attacks Maxine and takes the jacket. So now Valhalla and the Viking Raiders have possession of Maxine Dupree's Alpha Academy jacket. And also later on the night on Raw, we find out that next week the Alpha Academy will take on the Viking Raiders in a Viking rules match. Hopefully this will be a pretty good match and not too silly with a lot of the weapons and different things like that they have in this one. So hopefully they won't make it too silly. And now we have a no disqualification match. It is the A-lister, The Miz, taking on Tommaso Ciampa. Actually, pretty entertaining match here. Not too bad. And most of the match is dominated by Tommaso Ciampa. Garbage can lids, usual weapons, and Ciampa sets up a table in the ring, gets the Miz on the corner, puts him through the table, and looks like he is about to finish the Miz off. And then at this time, Bronson Reed makes his way from the crowd, attacks Ciampa, and Corey Graves on commentary mentions how the Miz has deep pockets kind of making it sound like The Miz could have had hired Bronson Reed to have him come out and help him get this victory in this match tonight. But that remains to be seen if that was the case or not. They didn't actually show anything that said that happened. Who knows, maybe next week we might find out that The Miz did hire Bronson Reed to take out Tommaso Ciampa, or it could be that Bronson Reed acted on his own, and this could spin off to a feud between Bronson Reed and Tommaso Ciampa. Maybe he just wanted to take him out, so he came out not really to help The Miz, but more to take out Tommaso Ciampa. And next up, the women's undisputed tag team champions Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez take on Chelsea Green and Sonya Deville. And also in the back, Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez get into it. Not really get into it, but they exchange words with the World Women's Champion Rhea Ripley, talking about how when Rhea Ripley defeated Natalya last week and they came out to check on her, I think I'm going a little out of order again. Sorry about that. And we had another segment with Ronda Rousey and Shayna Baszler. I'm sure this will probably end up in a match between them. And in the main event of tonight's Raw, the Judgment Day defeats the team of the undisputed tag team champions Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn and the world heavyweight champion Seth freaking Rollins. And it's a not bad match, but Rhea Ripley gets involved, interfering, getting some attack on Seth Rollins, which Finn Balor is able to get the pin and score the win for the Judgment Day as Raw goes off the air. And as of right now, it does look like Judgment Day is on the same page. But this still could be, they could still end up teasing tension between Finn Balor and Damian Priest. Even though right now, yes, they are getting along, but who knows how long they will have that last. So that was tonight's WWE Monday Night Raw. Overall, didn't think it was a bad show, but I wouldn't say it was really that great of a show either. But definitely not a bad show, though. I wouldn't say it really dragged any at all. There was some pretty good matches, I thought. And you can let me know your feedback on Raw tonight in the comments section on Spreaker or whichever website or podcast app you listen to, or if you listen on YouTube, you can leave a comment there in the comment section. So whichever website or app you listen to on, you can leave a comment, your feedback on tonight's Monday Night Raw. And now to get into a little bit of pro wrestling news. We found out today on Busted Open Radio that Bully Ray, he named his replacement partner, taking the place of Steve Macklin in the tag team match at Slammiversary this Saturday. It will be none other than Cody Deaner. Actually, have to admit, I was not thinking Cody Deaner to be the one to take Macklin's place in this tag match. Actually, I talked about this on 360 Wrestling Fanatic, and I thought of an idea that maybe since Macklin is out and they've done that angle where they set PCO on fire last Thursday night on Impact Wrestling, maybe they would end up making it a singles match between Bully Ray and Scott D'Amore. But they did not go that way. And speaking of Scott D'Amore, it's not sure who his partner is going to be either. Like I said, they did the angle on last Thursday's Impact Wrestling where Bully Ray and Steve Macklin attacked PCO, poured acid in his mouth, and then set him on fire. As of right now, it is not clear yet if PCO will be in that tag team match this Saturday at Slammiversary or not. And that is about it for today's news. Don't have too much to talk about. Thank you everyone for tuning in tonight's episode of 360 Wrestling Fanatic. Remember, if you have any questions, comments, or suggestions, or just want to say anything, leave your feedback to Monday Night RAW right here in the comment section on Spreaker or on YouTube or whichever podcast website, podcast app you listen to on. Hopefully we'll have more episodes of 360 Wrestling Fanatic this week. Hopefully tomorrow, to be more exact. We have NXT and the Judgment Day will be showing up on NXT. And also Dark Side of the Ring is back with a new episode this week. And this week's episode is featuring Adrian Adonis. And then, of course, this big Saturday, we have New Japan Pro Wrestling, AAA Impact Wrestling, and, of course, AEW. All have shows this Saturday. Gonna be a busy, busy day. But we'll be back tomorrow morning for the Tuesday episode of Good Morning Wrestling Fans. Once again, thank you everyone for listening to this episode of 360 Wrestling Fanatic, episode 443, I believe. Until tomorrow morning, I'll talk to everyone then. But for now, I am Lance, and I am a wrestling fanatic.